Okay, so I wanted to give you guys a little video to help you with histograms if you were struggling. So we usually just deal with histograms in Algebra 2 where you have classes or intervals. You may also sometimes see a histogram where you don't have a class, you're just looking at counting the frequency of a set of numbers. But let's use some data that I've got here. 2, 3, 7, 13, 18, 19, 20, 21, 21, 22, 27. So can you see all this? Okay, yeah, good. So just making up I just really made these numbers up, it's not real data. We want to make a histogram for this, and the way we're going to do that is we first need to decide how many classes do we want. And you usually want to have at least 5 or 6, especially if you have a small data set. Making more than that kind of gets out of hand. So we'll say that we want to have 5 classes, and you'll usually be told how many classes to create. So once you know how many classes you want, you need to figure out how big you want each one of them to be. So to determine the width of each class, what you're going to do is take the max minus the min, the biggest number in your set, minus the smallest number in your set, and divide that by how many classes you want. So here we'd get 25 over 5, which comes out to be 5. And even if this number is already a whole number, we're still going to round it up. So we're going to round that number up to 6. So the width of each of my classes is going to be 6 units. Alright, so next what we want to do is we want to actually, we don't really have to do this, but just for practice, I want to make a frequency table for my data here. Can we still see all the way down to the bottom? Okay, good. So here I'm going to have my classes, or my intervals, and here I'm going to have their frequencies. So how do you start this off? Good question. What you're going to do is take your lowest number. Remember, we want to have 5 classes altogether. We want them to have a width of 6. To move this up again, that last one in there. So if we want it to have a width of 6, well, we start at 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I have 6 numbers. It's going to go up to 7. So from 2 to 7. Another way to figure this out instead of counting on your fingers is you can just add that width to this first number here. 2 plus 6 would be 8. That's how you find the next one. So 8 plus 6 would be 14. 14 plus 6 is 20. And 20 plus 6 is 26. So then this set is going to go from 8 up to, well, it can't go to 14, so it's got to go to 13. From 14 to 19, 20 to 25, and then here I'm going to have to count again, so 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31. And then your frequency is going to tell how many of each of these numbers do you have. Well, numbers between 2 and 7, I've got 1, 2, 3. It's really helpful if you have your number or your numbers here in your data already sorted from least to greatest. Otherwise, you'll want to make little slashes when you count something. So then 8 to 13, I've just got one number there. 14 to 19, I have 2 numbers. 20 to 25, I've got 4 numbers, and then I've got 1 number in the 26 to 31 range. So a quick check here is to count how many numbers your data set had, and then match that up to the number of frequency tallies you have. So if you add up all the frequencies here, it should be the same as the number of classes that you have. I'm going to assume that I didn't make any silly mistakes, and mine is correct. So the next thing we want to do is actually make our histogram. So we're going to label our y-axis, so we measured in the frequencies, and our x-axis is going to measure whatever the data set represents. So it's the numbers of maybe hats. So we've got this this data set here. And we want to start graphing it, and we're going to use our frequency table to do that. So notice that none of our frequencies go over 4. But I'm going to give us some extra marks just because. So, and the first class goes from 2, the next class starts at 8, and then 14, and 20, and 26. So notice what I'm doing here is I'm taking the first number in each interval, and that's marking my axis. So notice that when I go to graph the last one here, it's not going to have enough room, so I need to start another class. So the next class would start at 32, and then I'll just measure my frequencies, and that's how many bars I go up. So the first class has a frequency of 3, so I go up to 3 and make a bar. The next class has a frequency of 1. So notice as I'm making this one distinct difference between a histogram and a bar graph, the histogram measures intervals, so it doesn't have any spaces in between the bars. So the next interval here has a frequency of 2. And the next one has a frequency of 4. Go up to 4 and make a bar. And the last one has a frequency of 1. So that's how to make a frequency table for a given set of data. Hopefully that was helpful. If you have any questions, just let me know.